Welcome to Overeducated and Underemployed. Got a really exciting episode for you today. These interviews coming up the next few weeks weren't exactly what I had planned the last time I went to Athens, but I gotta say the timing turned out better than I had planned. Talking today to a man named Ben Spraker. Ben Spraker's in a band called the Shut Ups, who have an album coming out this week, and the Arcs, who have an album coming out next week. Next week, I'll be talking to Kevin Lane from the Arcs and a bunch of other bands, and we'll get into that. And the week after that, I'll be talking to Jason Neesmith, who is also in the Shut Ups and a bunch of other bands, including Casper and the Cookies. So this was a really amazing little set of interviews. I am going to give them to you out of order, just a little bit here, in which I recorded them, because the Shut Ups got their album coming out this week, and the Arcs got their album coming out next week. So I'm going to give you Ben, who's a member of both, first. Then we'll get into Kevin Lane next week, who's with the Arcs. And then Jason Neesmith and I talk a lot about recording engineering, mastering, and nerd out on that sort of thing for a while. So check that out in a couple weeks. But he's also in this band called the Shut Ups. I just listened to their new album, Proverbs. It fucking rules. It's going to be out this week on Attaboy Tapes. The release party is at Cine on Saturday. If you're in the Athens area, I encourage you to check it out. There's links to all the things in the description of this episode. Ben and I had a great conversation. You will notice the recording quality gets a good bit better audio-wise about 10 minutes in, maybe 11 minutes in. Had a slight audio issue at the beginning of the episode. Without further ado, here is my interview with Ben Spraker.
This is Overeducated and Underemployed. I'm here with Ben Spraker. And the release is, September 6th?
December 6th, yeah.
And where are y'all doing the party?
The album release party is at Cine on September 6th.
I love Cine.
Yeah, it's a great venue.
Great spot.
They've really upped their game over there.
I haven't seen a live show there in a while. So
it's great. It's just a killer sounding room.
It's still that room off to the right when you're in the lobby.
The lab that's right next to the theater.
Yeah, I've seen Jay Gonzalez playing there before, and they may have upgraded by then, but it wasn't a full band.
Yeah,
so it was just him.
Yeah, it's a really high ceiling, and if the band is at the right volume level, then it really just comes alive and isn't too. It's one of those things where it can be racquetball courty if you're too loud, but you can definitely make it work in there, and when it does work, it works real well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll have to come back up.
Yeah, you maybe will.
I'm starting to look at just like renting a room in somebody's house.
Yeah.
Instead of getting a hotel every time. Because even if, by the time you stay like 4 nights, you might as well almost rent a room somewhere. Yeah. And then I could come up whenever I want. But Athens, Georgia fucking rules. That's part of why I do so many of my interviews here. But I'm going to ask you the first question that I ask everybody.
Okay.
And then we can just dive into it from there.
All right.
What's the first song that you remember loving as a kid?
The first song that I bought with my own money was Life's Been Good to Me So Far by Joe Walsh. And it was when department stores still sold 45s.
Oh, nice. Department stores.
Yeah, I'm just old enough. It's called Hills. And so I don't know if it was a Virginia thing. I grew up in Roanoke, Virginia.
There's some pretty serious flooding going on there right now.
God.
Maybe they dodged it, but I think they were worried about it with that stuff.
Well, I haven't been hearing about it. Anybody I know.
But maybe not. Maybe I'll just pretend I never said that.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that. But so I heard that song on the radio. I was being taken to either t-ball or soccer practice, and my friend's mom was in the front seat, and my friend's older sister was in the passenger seat, and she was singing along to Life's Been Good to Me So Far by Joe Walsh on the radio, and it made me think, this must be really cool. This is something I'm supposed to like. I ended up going to the store and buying it, and I love that song. And it's one of those that the guitar riff is always right under the fingers. It's always fun to just play when you're warming up.
How old were you?
Oh man, I was probably, I couldn't have been more than 7, 8
Oh,
or
wow.
something. Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah.
Wild. Were you interested in making music right away, or were you really just a fan?
No, but I remember when Kiss, we were really into Kiss, and so we would jump around with the tennis rackets, and we would just mess around with guitars, but I wasn't initially into playing seriously.
Did you play a lot of sports as a kid? Because that's the third sport you've mentioned.
Yeah, no. I tried.
Yeah.
I was not a natural at sports.
That sounds like me in music.
Yeah. What did you play?
Nothing. I tell this joke that all comedians are wannabe rock stars,
Yeah.
and that most rock stars wish they were comedians.
Yeah, it's always fun to think about trying to do that. It's like, ooh, how many jokes are in 5 minutes? Like these open mics that comedians do, it's like 5 minutes, and it's like, how many jokes is that?
5 minutes can be a long time.
Oh
when you don't have
yeah,
anything to
you're
say.
bombing. It can be a long time. Yeah, every while I collect some jokes just in case I have the nerve to try that one day.
You at least have to have onstage banter sometimes.
Yeah, there is that. There's that too. But I didn't. I was in school band playing the trumpet, and that sort of unlocked my brain with how music works.
Middle school or high school?
Middle school. And then I got into the guitar, and that pretty much left the trumpet behind, and so I was pretty obsessed with guitar from age 13 just on, and yes.
And that's still what you primarily fuck around with?
Yeah. I am an Athens, Georgia-based guitarist, singer, and songwriter.
When did you move here?
1990 to go to college, and I ended up living here. My brother ended up living in his college town too. He moved to Radford, Virginia.
That's what happened to my parents too. I'm from Tallahassee, so yeah, they went to Florida State and never left.
Yeah. Yeah.
But and same with me, except I'm trying to get out. I bought a house in 2019, and that was a great time to buy a house, but not in a city you didn't want to stay in.
Yeah. Is this Atlanta where you
No,
live?
Tallahassee.
You live in Tallahassee now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was born there, never left. My kid turned 18 this year.
Oh my God! Wow.
So I'm 39.
Oh,
so
wow.
I was a young dad. So
Okay.
it's like, now I'm getting to do all the things that a lot of people do when they're stupid in their 20s. But I'm like doing it with a little bit more discipline, wisdom, and
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So it's
Right on.
But I still feel young enough to do it. Nothing terrifies me more than the idea of being a really old parent.
Yeah. Yeah. Just being really old is terrifying enough.
Yeah. There's a Steve Earle quote that I love. It's almost more weird now that his son is gone, but if I'd have known I was going to live this long, I'd have taken better care of myself.
That's a good one.
When did you start writing songs?
Oh
It
yeah,
was like-
so I started writing songs. As soon as I could play things, I would make up riffs, and that was, to me, that was what all a song was, a cool guitar riff. And I would think somebody else will figure out what to sing over it. Because I identified as a guitarist before I had thought of myself as somebody that could sing and write songs. And so I was probably around 20 or so when I started writing. When basically it was our band didn't have a singer anymore, and it was time for someone to sing, and I just started doing it, and that's just how it started. It was my first band in Athens. It was a band called Ancient Otis when I got all my friends from Roanoke to move here, and then a couple of those guys moved back to Roanoke, and then Ceiling Fan, and that's the band that most people know me from the mid 90s into the early 2000s. We were a three-piece band, where I sang and played guitar, and my childhood friend from Roanoke, Virginia, Dave Giroux, played drums, and Jess Robbins was the bass player.
Hell yeah.
And Dave Giroux and I are in the Arcs. And that's the Athens, Georgia, the Arcs.
And I talked to Kevin earlier today,
Yeah. So
I actually was also listening to them the other night with Sloan. Those first 3 tracks, we went out to dinner and at least 2 or 3 of them popped up.
Cool.
I think 2, maybe the 3rd played on the way back, but anyway, super excited for that record.
Yeah, it's a weird when it rains it pours thing. My 2 of my bands I play in are both putting out records at the same time. So it's, hey, listen to the show, listen to the Arcs.
Well, I knew y'all had like all worked together, but I don't think it's been today as I've sat down and talked to all 3 of y'all that is I've realized how connected. So it's like actually a really cool little arc of episodes too.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Did you ever struggle with putting your music, like when you started writing songs, did you find it hard to share them with people?
No, it's just funny, like, depending on what musicians you're playing with, your writing technique would change, or would for me. I would sometimes, with some musicians, you would play your part and then let the other musicians just improvise their part and say, oh, what was that? And then you make the song out of that. And then you find yourself with other musicians that don't like to do that. They want you to provide them a demo, like a recording of just the basics, and then they come with their part. Or they would rather just you tell them what the part should be. But no, I've never had trouble feeling weird about providing musical ideas to people. It's just interesting how different musicians just have a different way of wanting to collaborate to work on songs.
Yeah, I was just talking about that with Jason, and like the difference between the way like his, like the Casper bands, all the same band but different names.
Yeah.
And then versus how like Pylon Reenactment Society is like much more like democratic thing.
Yeah.
And is like adjusting between those like different dynamics. Is that something that you find difficult?
It's not difficult now, but I remember being disoriented by it, because when you first start working with musicians on songs, you just get this, you think that this is the way musicians are. You think you know how it's, and then you realize that no, not everybody likes to do it that way.
Yeah, that's just one of the ways.
Yeah. But yeah.
How did that help inform how you changed? Because it's like if you just thought that's how musicians were, then you didn't know that you could be any different.
Yeah, it made you, like, if you are working with people that would rather have a recorded demo to learn the song from before you get together to play it, then you learn how to make demos.
Yeah.
Because even though everyone's, the demo doesn't have to be anything great, just give me the idea. No, you're selling the song to you got to make the demo good. So that the people who hear it go, that sounds worth our time to pursue. So it's, no one wants to admit that the quality of the demo is important, but it is. You're trying to get people excited about this musical idea you have. And even if it's not a complete song, if you only have one verse and the chorus idea, and so you're just repeating that to get the proof of concept, you want the guitar to sound really cool. You want to sing it well. You don't want to half-ass the demo, because nobody wants to admit it. You are trying to get people excited about working on the song that you're trying to present to the band.
For sure.
But yeah, it helps to be able to work in a lot of different ways. But improvising the parts and then writing the song based on something that you've improvised, that's a fun way to do it that I haven't worked that way in a while, and I'm hoping I can break back into a situation where that's the case. But yeah, it's ultimately you're just happy about who you're playing music with, and and you just want to adapt to what works well for them. So it's fine. Yeah.
So you grew up in Roanoke, and then like your whole childhood, and then you just moved here for college?
Yeah, I moved here to go to UGA, and
did you graduate?
Yeah, I did.
I feel like that's a legit. A lot of people, especially if you figure out what you're supposed to be doing while in college, you're like, why am I doing this?
Yeah, exactly. I got the standard 4-year degree, but but I've been just playing bands the whole time, and I just love everything about being in a band.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just my favorite way to hang out with people. It's, hey, let's get together and I'll put our problem-solving hats on and figure out how to make this thing good enough to put in front of people. And then we're going to schedule a time when we're going to do that. We're going to and we're going to put it in front of people.
Yeah.
We think it's good. And it's just a great way to hang out with people. And
I agree. I don't think that there's a world I belong in better than my first job was at a venue that was getting pretty big touring acts. I was just like a loader and like a flyer guy because I was like 15, and they would send me to like competitors' parking lots, and I always just knew this is the world I belong. I started going on the road with bands and shit that when I was like too young to be doing that. But I guess my point is I get exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
Being part of that, being any part of that is so exciting.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And I think it's something that like comedians and musicians have in common too, because it's a more collaborative a lot of the time with musicians. And I think, and I've talked about this before, where like the response is a lot more important with comedy, whereas you can have a good show with 3 other people in the room watching you if you guys feel like you put on a good show.
Yeah.
It's really hard to feel like you put on a good show as a comedian with 5 people in the room or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think leading up to the show is very similar.
Yeah.
You're refining this thing.
Yeah.
Your goal is just to make people have a good night.
Yeah.
Have fun, or maybe with their families or not, or their whatever. Provide a place for people to escape from all the bullshit.
Yes.
And I don't know if you're like me, but to me, when you're working on the escape, it almost feels like you cheated the system. It's like you're like getting away with not working.
Yeah, I agree.
It is work, but it doesn't feel that way.
It just feels like I've been doing it long enough that it just feels like a natural thing that I do.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. When did you realize that being in a band was like what you wanted to be doing?
I was in middle school and I'd been playing guitar for a couple of years, and there was a kid down the street who played bass, and we would just play along the Iron Maiden songs.
Hell yeah.
And that was good fun and all, but I'd never played with a drummer before. And I went down the street, and that kid's older brother had a band with an actual drummer. And
had you played with a click?
No, this was just not really, just for recordings.
Yeah,
it wasn't an easy thing to have. I guess I had.
That's like a different thing. Then.
Yeah.
That's like a total. Like once you play with a drummer. Like,
yeah, but I'll tell you, it's when I went over to this guy's house and they were playing. And I got to put on the guitar, and the drummer started playing a beat, and I started hitting the strings, and that's when it was like, I felt like Richard Dreyfuss in Close Encounters of the Third Kind, starting to chase the plateau.
Man, that's crazy. I literally talked about that movie like last week because I think that movie is about. It's not about aliens. It's about a religious calling. It's what I would imagine when somebody, like when Moses, I'm not trying to talk literalism or not or anything. I'm just talking when Moses is compelled to go to the mountain, that's what is going on to all these people in Close Encounter. Like he just abandons his family. He just gets up and
but just the moment of the bass line for me is hit the guitar strings with someone hitting the drums at the same time. And just that simple thing, just that bass line just became, that's all I wanted to do. And I'm always trying to come to the perfect moment of hit the guitar strings with the drum set.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, and then that's all it is. And then so the singing and the songwriting and all the other stuff, that's all great, but it's really just comes down to this primal need to play the electric guitar with and hear the snare and the bass drum. It's that.
That is not what I thought you were going to say when you said that you had never played with a drummer before.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of guitarists, the first time they play to a click or with a drummer, like they realize that they're not maybe as good as they thought they were at that point. But for you, you're like, no, this is where I belong.
Yeah.
That moment was like,
I was
I'm
into
in.
it before that, but that was when
Right.
it went to that Richard Dreyfuss level from Close Encounters of the Third Kind, where you're seeing
That's
it
such
and
a
everything.
perfect analogy. It really is. I think
Thanks.
that feeling of being drawn to something that you, first of all, I think you're pretty lucky to figure out what that was at that age, right? There's a lot of people that like, dude, I didn't figure out, for a long time I was like, I should be a musician but I can't, I'm not. Like I can sing I sing in a choir.
Okay.
But that's like a community choir, but that's like about it. I can read some music, but I'm not a musician.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to be so bad.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until 3 or 4 years ago that I realized what my like medium or whatever it is was, right? Whatever you want to call it.
Plenty of time.
Sure, but I guess my point is like, I'm getting to something where it's, I feel like if that stuff is in you and you don't have an outlet for it, it starts to like show up in other ways.
Mm-hmm.
Did you experience that before? You know what I'm talking about, right? There's this almost like a darkness or like a fire.
There was nothing I was that obsessed with. I got into things and I tried to play sports and I tried to ride a skateboard and and then the school band was fun. I liked that. But I felt like I had some kind of a good ear for music at that point, but just the whole playing electric guitar with someone on the drum set became just, there was nothing that was I was more obsessed about before that. So that was definitely just like all I want to do. It's all I'm thinking about, and that's just still what drives me. It's if I have a band practice or something coming up, and it becomes a thing where it's like, oh, the drummer can't make it, and so I'm way less interested, even though I'll still do it. It's definitely not as fun for me to play without the drums.
So do you play solo much?
Not too much. I've only done it a few times. I feel like I probably would be good to do it more. It'd probably make me a better player if I did it a lot more. The thing that's interesting about playing solo is that you get to make the arrangement what you want it to be on the fly. You can just decide in the moment, this chorus goes on another time through, or you can or you go to the wrong chord and you just stay on the wrong chord and so this is how it goes now, and you can will it into existence because you don't have anyone else to no one else has to be playing, so you really can just decide. That initially was considered wrong, but it's right now.
That really reminds me of like the difference between doing stand-up and doing like improv comedy.
Yeah.
It's because if I'm just up there, like I could just decide I don't want to do any of the jokes on my list.
Yeah,
I just want to talk to I'm not a crowd work guy, but if I wanted to be, like I could just do that and that would be my whole night.
That's a beautiful thing.
And similarly, you can rearrange your songs on the fly, with
a band, if you're really good at listening, really on top of listening very well, but you can't quite just you can really have the flexibility when you play solo, and that's a cool thing. But I don't do it very often. I just usually prefer to play music with other people and play with a band. Is normally what I do.
What about when you're writing?
Do
you write by yourself? Or
I
do you
do
typically
write by myself a lot, and a lot of it's because most other musicians don't like writing along with people. Yeah, I find I'm always I'm into the idea of writing as a collaboration more, but it just seems like most of the people I play music with, it just works better if I come up with the idea and then bring it to them, and then they add their part, or I have a part in mind that I give them. It depends on the particular band. With the Arcs, I write half the songs, Kevin writes the other half of the songs, and I sing the songs I write, and he sings the songs he writes.
And you also decide how the songs you write are gonna be too, right? Like it's a little bit different than if kind of everybody collaborates on your song. That's not how it really goes.
Yeah. Once we get it into the band context, there'll be ideas thrown around about maybe we go to the bridge a second time, or maybe there's arrangement ideas and things that happen with the Arcs. But most of it is, even though the four of us split the writing credit on paper evenly. But as a matter of process with the Arcs, whoever is the songwriter kind of has some degree of dominion over the song, but it just depends on how. Sometimes I don't have a particular idea about how the bass part should be.
Do you find it challenging when you're in that kind of environment where it is more, okay, this is my song, so this is how it's going to be, and then you don't necessarily know how you want all of it to be?
Yeah. It's not, if you have the right people, it's not that bad.
They just step up and they're cool.
Know, some people will assert themselves when they have a good idea, and most of the time it is a good idea.
Yeah.
Normally if I have a strong idea about what something other than my guitar and my singing should be for a song, most of the time the people are receptive to that.
This Arcs record has been a long time coming, right?
Yeah, it took us a while to get it. There was a lot of moving to different houses and kids being born and a lot of stuff. So it did take us a bit of time, but here now.
And Kevin, I'm super excited for it. And the reason I mentioned that is because Kevin mentioned that, like, when you tried to do the remote recording thing, you guys got into this thing where somebody would run with an idea too long without anybody else having any feedback at all.
Yeah.
And so it would be like you'd get lost in a rabbit hole, or and nothing specific was brought up. I'm not trying to start shit within the band.
No, he's right. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's sometimes if somebody commits to an idea and then there's not that instant feedback when we work on it together, then it's like, then not everybody likes it. And it's also with the thing about trying to do music during COVID was that you thought, it's like, hey, we can just email our parts around and we can record remotely, but it's
some people that works for.
Yeah, but it's the getting together and hanging out is what drives the whole thing, it turns out. And so it's hard to get motivated to do all this stuff if you don't have the hanging out together. That was really hurt us as far as time. I don't have any regrets about it. It's done now. It came out well, so here we are.
Yeah, no, I just think it's interesting, like, that someone like Sloan, for instance, almost only records remotely.
Yeah.
And it's just different people can do it different ways and for very different reasons.
Yeah. You probably heard from Jason a bit about how the shut-ups operate, but it's the main writer in that band, Don Condescending, his real name is Christopher Snell.
Yeah.
He writes every part of everything. He sends it all
It's like a benevolent dictatorship.
Yeah, and sends it all to us, and we learn the parts, and we can mold them, and we have input. But the songs are basically fully formed when we get them. And the good news is we love his songs. His songs are so good that we just play them. And so with that band, it could probably work to do more remote stuff. But yeah, so that could work a little better. And
I think Sloan said something similar. He's like, everybody, I'm just always happy with what other people lay down. Like, it's like, it's always awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it's, there's a way to do it for everybody.
Right.
And sometimes the not getting together in the same room and hashing things out, if you don't have that piece of it, then it doesn't really work. I found that to be the case with a few of my musical projects during that time.
Yeah. Mike Cooley says at one point, like, they don't practice because if you want to break up a band, practice. And so it's just a totally different way of approaching it.
Yeah, now those guys tour a lot.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah.
And I'm sure
they play
whatever.
And I think they practice before they go in the studio, but that's about it.
Yeah, well, they play so much since they tour so much that they don't need to.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is definitely something, such a thing as being around some people too much.
Yeah. So, what is the first band that you were in, or especially that you were writing songs in, that you really felt like meant something to you, that you thought was, okay, I'm starting to find my groove?
Ceiling Fan, because I was writing lyrics and vocals and guitar and like writing the full stuff, even though I had a very collaborative relationship with the bass player Jess Robbins and Dave Giroux, who's in the now. Because we would throw, let me play this for you. What do you want to? What do you think? And then we'd come up with the music that way. So it was definitely, there was a real-time collaborative setup with that. But I was writing the lyrics and the melody for the voice. So that was really where I found my songwriting voice.
Did you take like guitar lessons or vocal lessons or anything like that?
I took a little bit of guitar lessons. I never took vocal lessons.
Yeah.
I took a little bit of guitar lessons, and when I first started playing, my mother got me a videotape of Wolf Marshall guitar power builder. And it was just how to play leads. There were no chords in it.
Oh God!
I just got what was available,
Right.
And so when I first started playing, it was like I was really into metal. So it was like once I learned power chords, I was like, I got chords down now. But it turns out no, there's a lot more to it than that. But yeah, so I took a little bit of guitar lessons, but it was mostly just playing along to records and going to the local music store and meeting other musicians and just learning it that way. And
you're listening to metal. What was some of the other stuff you were growing up listening to?
Oh man, when I was before guitar, I liked a lot of the new wave stuff.
Okay.
Like the early NXS.
Hell yeah.
And stuff like that. I thought that the keyboard player in the Revolution wearing the surgeon scrubs, I thought he was the coolest. And so I was into that, and then guitar comes along, and then it's just, I loved metal, and so I was really into Van Halen and Prince at the end of Let's Go Crazy, the big guitar lead at the end of that. Just the whole idea of the guitar, and it was so weird, the whole lead guitar arms race that was going on in the late 80s.
Prince really doesn't get enough credit for his guitar playing. Like, he was such an amazing guitar player.
Yeah, he was
like one of the best.
Really, just a cool guitar player. I always play the cool stuff, but and he knows when to not play, so all that stuff.
And that's really important.
Yeah, and because when Let's Go Crazy came out, Wah Wah was not cool. It was out of style, but he comes along.
Oh,
Let's Go
I see.
Crazy comes out, and he's like doing this Hendrix sounding thing, which was just not in style at that time. I guess just the music intelligentsia decided, okay, we're not doing Wah Wah for a while. But Prince is like, nope.
Well, there was a fire at the Wah Wah pedal factory, and it was just not, they got really expensive.
But metal, and then I went to UGA, and I couldn't help but get caught up in REM. And even though I didn't really like REM in high school, I just didn't really. I just wanted fast, crunchy, riff-based music at that time. But then I opened my ears up a bit, and I started working at the campus radio station here, 90.5 WUOG. And,
hell yeah!
And so,
shout out.
So I started really hearing a lot more different kinds of music, and meeting people like Jason Neesmith, when Ceiling Fan had started playing, and he and I crossed paths, and our bands started playing together. He had a band called Lana Becomes a Man.
Yeah, he mentioned them earlier. Yeah,
one of the coolest bands that people don't know about. And so he started being the guy that would record Ceiling Fan, and I didn't realize. I just thought, wow, this is a kind of music person. There are people who can do what he can do, but I didn't realize.
What year did you move here?
He's a different breed. He's there's not many people as talented as him.
No, man, I gotta say, that was part of why I was so quiet when I was just like processing that conversation I'd had with him. What a fucking smart guy he is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really enjoyed talking to him.
That guy can do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, you're glad he's chosen to do good things.
Oh yeah.
Because he literally, I think, could do anything.
Yeah, that's right. It happens to have good taste, which is good for everybody.
Yeah.
But yeah,
so what year did you move here?
I moved here in 90.
Okay. And then he moved here in 94, I think he said?
Yeah, but like we started he was living in Atlanta when we met him there in the mid-90s.
That's right.
So we would go to Atlanta to record with him, because have you guys recorded Ceiling Fan? I was like, we did some stuff on a 4-track. Why don't you come to my house and let me record you? And we're like, yeah. And it turned out it was the best recording experience we'd ever had. We were like, where have you been all our lives? And he totally got us, and he's just amazing engineer. There's a reason he's the lead mastering engineer at Chase Park.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's genius, I think might be an appropriate word.
Yeah, he is. And so we were going to Atlanta to work with him, and we were trading shows, and Ceiling Fan going to Atlanta and playing with his band, and then they would come to Athens and play with us, and then eventually he moved to Athens there I want to say sometime in the early 2000s, and then Casper and the Cookies started becoming more of a band than just a recording project. His initial things, it was a recording only thing, and then it turned into a band. And then, so that's how, it's hard to believe that he hasn't lived here the whole time, but there was a while.
Yeah, and then I got some wires. It was Kevin that moved here in 94, I think.
Oh, yeah, that sounds right.
And then, yeah, he was in Atlanta.
Yeah. And then as far as like the whole scene of people, we got Kevin moving here and his brother, and then doing the Possibilities with Bob Spires. And then, and they started as a 3-piece, and then they brought in Chris Grian and Jay Gonzalez, and then that became the Possibilities that most people know.
Yeah.
It was just a powerhouse. And then, of course, you got Matt was in an early version of the Truckers. And then I take some credit for Jay being in the Truckers. Shut Ups used to do, in the mid 2000s, we did a Halloween show every year for 3 or 4 years, maybe 5 years in a row, where we would play at the Caledonia, rest in peace, where the Church Bar is now. Mm-hmm. But we would play there, and we would do a thing where I would find people I knew who would dress up as musicians and celebrities for Halloween, and I'd say, okay, you're going to be Kenny Rogers for Halloween. Yeah, let's learn Islands in the Stream, and you come and sing it with us in costume, and you be Dolly Parton. And so I just set this whole thing up every year. We got all of these people to do
almost like a review.
Yeah, we would make it like a theme, like it's a special concert to raise awareness of death. It's Halloween, and
fuck yeah.
And so we would do this thing, and people would wear their costumes and get up, and they would just bring the lyrics on a piece of paper and just sing it. And we had all these different people do it. And one year, Patterson and Jay both were on our roster. Patterson did Little Red Riding Hood. It's an old song. I can't remember the original artist right now. It's a like 50s or a 60s song. And he had the whole wolf man costume on, the big bad wolf costume. And that same show, Jay was playing, but he did Pressure by Billy Joel and piano. And it was at that show that I think Patterson, they were looking for someone to play keyboard and guitar and stuff. And he pulled Jay aside and said, listen, fucking hate Billy Joel. But that sounded great. Would you be interested in joining the Truckers? So that happened at our show.
That's fucking great.
It was like sometime in the mid 2000s. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
So what are some of the jobs that you've had in Athens over the years?
Golly, I worked for the UGA Food Services a lot when I first started living here, just on campus, delivery driver, and I'd work at the concession stand at the Tate Center where the movie theater is and all that stuff. So I did a bunch of that, and then I was a educational representative for a musical instrument retailer, and to where I would go to schools and help the band director, like repair instruments, and then basically in return for helping out the band director, they would do their school band instrument rentals through us and buy all their music through us and all this. So it was sort of like a thing like that. And so I got pretty heavily into knowing a lot about school band and orchestra
and fixing those instruments. And
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, like reeds and mouthpieces and all that stuff. So that was really fun. And we would go into the fifth graders in elementary school and test those kids on what they were going to play in sixth grade in band. So you would have the mouthpieces out and they would all take turns playing stuff, and certain kids would definitely have aptitude for certain types of interests. Some kids would be good at playing the brass mouthpiece, and some kids had the aptitude for the flute head joint, it's like blowing across a Coke bottle. But there was nothing.
How much of that has to do with like natural mouth shape and things like that?
Yeah,
it's
tons
all
of that. Yeah, it's all of that, and just where their brains wired. But there was just nothing cooler than telling a little kid that they're good at something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds fucking awesome.
It was my favorite. I love that job. The thing was interesting is that all the kids, it turns out everyone wants to play saxophone and percussion, the two loudest things. So you have to make those really hard destined so you don't have too many. And
how do you feel about saxophone and rock music?
Did Kevin talk about this?
No, not at all. I literally.
I think
maybe I should have asked him.
Saxophone is just like guitar. It can be bad or it can be good.
Yeah.
There's a right way to do it, just like guitar. I tend to, as far as saxophone and rock music, I like the coasters and the 50s and 60s rock with saxophone. There's a lot of bad stuff in the 80s with David Sanborn and all that sort of stuff, and the Clarence Clemens. But there's a lot of bad stuff. But then you got the band Morphine. Totally cool use of saxophone.
That band fucking rules.
Yeah.
My buddy Jason, who is like one of my longest friends, who used to take me to shows all the time when I was a poor college kid. That's one of his all-time favorite bands. So just shout out to Jason.
These kids, sometimes you just have to put the saxophone mouthpiece away. We already got too many. There's already too many of them, and they're loud. You can't have too many saxophones in the band. There's all these kids that are coming to test to figure out what to play, and a lot of kids end up playing. If they can't play anything, they can always play clarinet. Clarinet's always an easy one. But all the kids
I'm laughing because my mom played clarinet.
Well, it's always one to start with, and then those kids would often graduate to saxophone or
and she was
oboe.
Drum major in high school.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I mean, my mom was talented, but I just thought it was just funny.
Well, it's just one of those things of like the kid who can't play anything. It's just like anybody can blow into a clarinet mouthpiece and get a sound. But the thing about the percussion, you had to pick the kids that seemed like they had enough upstairs to be able to keep up with all the mallets and the sticks and everything. And you couldn't have too many of them, so you'd have to make the test hard enough that only the really smart ones could do it. Like you would tap on your knees and have the kid mirror what you were doing, and you would make it really weird and hard, and some kids would get it, and you would be like, you got the good. And there was just nothing better than telling a little kid they're good at something.
And the next thing you know, it's superstar and a superstar machine.
Yeah,
taking it to the stars.
But you get some kids that are like, you would make it really hard. You would tap a pattern on your hands and knees that it would just be really hard to memorize or weird. And some of the kids would just do it easily and be like, okay. But yeah, it's, I think if kids had their way, everyone would be on saxophone and drums, and that would be it. So.
That sounds like a terrible band.
yeah.
I do not want to see them.
But a lot of girls like to play flute for whatever reason, and it's also just the whole. It's like, is your brain wired, and are you someone that can just do the whole that trick,
right?
And being able to throw the skinny stream of air over the hole in the flute head joint. Yeah,
that's wild to think about, like how early that you would be able to figure that out with some of these kids too.
Yeah,
like, that's pretty cool.
So that was a great job. I had that for a while.
Did you find life getting a lot easier when you started to do jobs that were directly related to music?
Yeah, but that job had its own difficulties.
I'm sure
I had to drive a lot for it, and
my mom was a high school teacher
yeah.
I feel like I'm ragging on my mom, but that's fine.
No, that's cool.
Those that can't do teach, and those that can't play anything play clarinet.
Yeah.
So I'm like, fuck, Mom, I'm sorry, but
anybody can be in a band. It's just like you can always get someone on clarinet. It's just one of those ones where you just basically blow into it and it makes a sound. But yeah, after that, I had the job that I have today, which is just a software company job.
There's a lot of those software companies here in Athens.
Yeah.
Can we just switch gears for a second? Why do you think that is? I'm sure that there's probably like real reasons out there.
For a while, I think a lot of it was you had a lot of educated people and cheap office space. For a while, it's not so cheap now. It's getting more expensive, but it seemed like you could it was easier to have a workspace. Now, of course, a lot of people work from home, and it's not as necessary, but that's why. But we're a lot of...
Gosh, my buddy who used to have an office down, like they got rid of their office.
Yeah, that's what they did with us, too. Yeah.
You don't work with Matt Luffman, do you?
I do.
Oh,
the same company as him,
okay. Well, that's who I was.
The company.
I was like, wait a second.
Yeah.
I've stayed at his house every year for homecoming for the last decade. I've known that dude since 2008. Man, I love that guy.
He's on such a different area of the company than I am that I almost hardly ever cross paths with him at work. But whenever the company has a get together, I'll see him, and so that's the only reason I even know he still works there.
Yeah.
Hey! He's cool.
Yeah, no, he's great, and he's how I got to know Jen Bryant a little bit.
Oh yeah,
too, because I don't know all the history of the company, but at one point the company that Matt is at now was part of a company that Jen was also at. I don't know.
Yeah, it got bought and sold a lot and split off into pieces and all this stuff. But I think Matt and I are still with the same company, I believe.
It sounds like it, unless both of y'all got rid of your office. That was a sweet parking spot gig.
Dude,
that
perk,
sucked.
Man. What a perk. That perk. I definitely don't go downtown as much as I used to. Dude, there was a point there after we lost our office, it was like 2 or 3 years ago, where I was just like, I haven't had to look for parking downtown in 10 years, man. And so how does this even work? What if I leave my car downtown? What happens?
And we would always ride down together, and then just Uber back because we're not driving.
Play a gig at the Nowhere
Well,
Bar.
Luffman and I get together, nobody's driving.
You play a gig at the Nowhere Bar. You could just put your gear in your car and then just put it up in the deck, and then get an Uber ride home, and you're okay. My gear is in my car, but what are the odds somebody's going to climb all the way up the stairs of the parking lot, break into it, and then come all the way down? It seems like a pretty safe bet for the night.
There's cameras in there and stuff too. It's a little bit different than.
You could carry your guitars in the Uber car, so it'd be only the heavy shit that would be left in the car. Or your pedals, which you don't want to lose those either. But,
so Athens is crazy. This happens like all the time. There's
wonderful.
Like I love it.
There's a whole phenomenon of people leaving their gear at the venue overnight and say, I'll just come and get it tomorrow. And I try to avoid doing that, but sometimes it's just so alluring. But in a big city, you would just never do that. You always feel like you're so scared that your gear wouldn't be there when you come back.
I don't even know if it's the big city aspect of it. It's like the walkable aspect. Because you can very easily all right, I'm done with this show, but there's 5 other things going on tonight, and I don't want to have to not be downtown anymore or whatever.
After you go home, basically around the corner in Athens is everything is 10 minutes away.
Yeah.
From everything in Athens.
And if you're downtown, everything's a 10-minute walk.
Yeah. And so so I think it's one of the reasons why it's been easy for you to get people to interview you on short notices, because it's like it was a 10-minute drive to come over here. But that thing, leaving your gear behind at the venue and having an arranger to come get it, it's like, and in Atlanta, around the corner is 20 minutes. And around the corner is usually not where you live from the venue. So I'm going to drive 40 minutes. So just load your gear in their car, don't drink too much, and just drive home, buddy. And just the way
you are working that night.
Yeah. I feel like that's like the thing that's plagued musicians is the term playing. When you're doing music, you're playing. So it feels like it's okay if the musician is the last person to be paid, because they're not working, they're playing. So I feel like that word itself is the thing that's made it to where musicians just get ripped off all the time. But
comedians just get chicken fingers.
Yeah. Mozzarella sticks.
Yeah, actually, I could go for some mozzarella sticks right now,
dude. They got some.
Last night was a long night at Cosmic Charlie, so I went and had a burger at lunch today, but
right on.
I'm definitely all right, I'm ready to dive into some real food tonight.
Yeah, man.
So when you're writing songs, the really good ones, and I think I know, if I don't know the answer to this, it's going to surprise me. But when you write a really good song, it's like you have your antenna up and it happens to you, right?
Yeah.
What about when you're writing a song like that? It's like you have to get it out of you or something like that, but it's not as fluid as that.
Yeah, sometimes it really feels like, and this is a cliche thing, but sometimes they write themselves, and sometimes you have to work on them really hard. But then occasionally, it just seems like the results still, you end up with something you like either way. It's just sometimes you gotta get under the hood of it and work on it more. It doesn't just come as naturally. I guess it's the ones that write themselves seemingly, they're appealing in a way that you almost feel like you cheated because it was too easy. So you kind of love that one,
I think jokes are the joke writing process is almost exactly the same. And this is where I feel like the closest parallel between songwriters and comedians is the really good jokes. It's I didn't even come up with it. It happened to me.
To come up with a good joke, how quickly do you? At what point do you research to make sure you didn't subconsciously steal it from somebody?
I don't.
Yeah, you just assume you didn't.
No, because here's the other thing, and I think this is probably true with songwriting too, is I'm going to make it my own. And this is where I think I didn't start doing comedy till pretty late, but I'd done all of these other things in my life to where when I started doing comedy, I found my voice and stuff right away. And I actually want to talk to you about that process, because I think that's like the most important thing for an artist is like going for where you're, all right, I want to sound like this, or I'm mimicking this, to like having your own sound.
Yeah.
But I think I was able to achieve that with comedy pretty quick, because I'd taught college, I'd raised a kid, I'd also just gotten to the age where I didn't give a fuck about a lot of things anymore, that I used to, like, stuff that doesn't matter. Like, the stuff that people care about when they think everything matters that doesn't matter. Like what other people think, for instance.
Yeah.
Once you realize that what other people think of you is none of your business, it's so freeing.
Yeah.
And
you realize that people don't think that much about you very much at all.
Yeah, that's okay too.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, it's definitely okay.
So what was that process like for you when you found your own voice? Because I think that's when, and I don't know that I fully answered your question because that's how we got here, but when you have your own voice, nobody's got the same joke.
Yeah, it's not the same.
It's not,
right.
It's just not. It might have the same premise, there might be some overlap, but I also try to record my sets, even if I don't release them, because then I'm like, hey, I told this joke on this day.
Yeah.
I wrote a Toby Keith joke the day he died that got me booed.
Oh, too soon.
No, it's never too soon. It's just the wrong crowd.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
These were people that liked Toby Keith. That was the problem.
It's hard finding your own voice as a musician. It's just, you start mimicking other things and then you figure out what combination of things feels like you and what's natural to you. And I think everybody has a different way of getting there. But it usually starts with you learning to play other people's stuff and you get good at that, and then you learn some other people's things, and you just make a sort of a mixture of it. Everybody.
So you were playing a lot of like punk and metal when you were younger. How did that evolve into what you do now?
You know,
pretty different.
Well, the thing, when I was learning to play, when it was still lead guitar was a big thing, and it was in the 80s before pre-grunge, so it was definitely, so I feel like I gained some technique and some ability from that, but then it just seemed, it was just so interesting when it just became super uncool to do anything that would glorify your ability to play your instrument. It became very uncool. Yeah.
Can you explain that dynamic a little bit? Because this is, I think, something I missed that I never saw.
Yeah, dude, you go from people, everybody that was imitating Eddie Van Halen, and all constellation of people doing that, and there's a million of them. And that was on the radio. You had White Snake and all these bands. God. And then just a couple years later, Kurt Cobain is looking directly in the camera during the guitar solo of Teen Spirit, turning his tuning keys. This is stupid. I don't care about any of it. And then that paradigm shift. And so then it just felt right to just play more simply and for the song. And so
because you cared about musicianship.
Yeah, you do. But then you're sort of like, it did feel pointless at that time, and I agreed it was stupid, but I felt good that I could still do it. Like I could still play. I knew I developed the ability to play. I'm just choosing to play more simply and more directly and more. So I got into.
Sometimes it's just two chords and fuck you.
Exactly, and that's what Soundgarden, and that was the first sort of grunge thing that I got into in the late 80s, and then you had Nirvana, of course, blew the doors off, but it just made sense to play more simply into the song because it was overdone, the whole flashy guitar thing. But then that for me morphed into Fugazi. That band and their guitar style. They were playing, two people playing simple things, when you put them together sound complex. So it's interesting. Right. So I got heavily into that for a while, and then
it's like Ian it's like he got more music. He stops Minor Threat and he gets more musical, right?
Yeah.
And you get the best of both worlds with Fugazi. Right?
And they developed their own guitar language of just ways of playing, and I really got into that way for a while. And then somewhere in there, it just suddenly became right. It's still fun to bend the strings and play like in a classic rock way. So that came back, and then so now I just feel like I have this whole post-punk vocabulary, but I have the I can't help but have the metal vocabulary because that's what I grew up when I was
Can't
first learning
stop
to
the
play.
metal.
Yeah, it's a thing. It's funny. I think if you see the Shut Ups, you'll see that I'm Dr. Power Chord, and Jason is the more he's more of a piano guy and has the like if there's a part that's more metal in a particular Shut Up song, I'm playing that part. But yeah, so I've just got my favorite music is late 70s, early 80s period where you had punk rock and heavy metal sort of butting heads, and there was this weird mixture of it where people couldn't decide which team they were on, and that was my favorite time before it really split off.
Yeah,
it was like you're either in this camp or this camp.
It was like hardcore punk, and that
like,
was the thing that both like hardcore and punk and metal all split off into a little bit.
This is a weird example, but the first Billy Idol was like it was metal and punk at the same time.
Yeah,
you know,
that really is.
Yeah, and so it's just my favorite time. The whole power pop, pub rock, punk scene with metal creeping into it.
What was the first concert that you really like? That you remember where like the guitar player was like the fucking like a god, right?
I did see Van Halen. But I was at the age I was.
It was Van Hagar.
It was.
Yeah, that's all right.
First Van Hagar. That was the first. I did end up getting to see Van Halen with David Lee Roth, but it was much later than that. So of course, that guy's a giant. I think I'm definitely heavily influenced by Eddie Van Halen for sure. There's just no way around it. Angus Young, Pete Townsend.
Yeah.
D. Boone from the Minutemen.
Oh, interesting. That's not one that people mention very often.
No, but yeah, I'm big into that. Nels Cline.
Yeah, Nels Cline, one of my favorites. Man. I was so happy he was back with Wilco this year. Like they played Tallahassee. It was impossible. Like when he plays Impossible Germany, like there's just not much.
A lot of Wilco purists don't really dig Nels Cline being in it.
I don't give a fuck what they
don't
think.
Care. I think it makes everything better.
Yeah. And dude, these people that just won't let artists evolve.
Yeah.
That drives me crazy more than you don't sound like you used to look good. Thank fucking God. You don't have to like it either.
Those records are there already.
Yeah.
Let's go listen to those.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Speaking of records, what are you... You've got the ARCs and the Shut Ups coming out.
Yeah.
What else is going on in
my God.
world?
So, yeah, I mean, it's crazy that my two of my bands I play with are both putting out records at the same time. We just worked out this way with the Shut Ups putting out Proverbs on September 6th, and the ARCs releasing
10 days later.
Yeah, the next week is ARCs releasing Athens Ave on September 13th. I have another group called Normaltown Sound Machine that has a record completed that we're figuring out all the artwork and if there's going to be a label. So that's a band where I write all the songs, but my sister-in-law is the singer, so that's fun. I write all the songs, but I'm not the singer in the band. So
I'm pretty sure I've heard that. Yeah. I also think we've had drinks at Flickr before. That was my episode with Ben Spraker. It was awesome talking to him. I really love.
We probably have.
Like I've been sitting here really like.
This guy's familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like we could talk all day.
We probably could.
But Is there anything that you really want to like make sure that you talk about before we start to wrap things up and
No,
move
just
on with our
everyone
day?
forgive me for imploring you to listen to all this music that I'm part of that's all coming out at one time. Got 2 great records coming out that we're really proud of, with the Shut Up's Proverbs and the Arcs Athens Ave. And
You should have just
enjoy.
done one release show.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
No,
I'm
no, you
not,
got
I'm not
milk
above
it.
doing double duty, man.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Do you like playing live or recording more?
I think I like playing live maybe a little more, and that's against the grain of a lot of people.
Pretty much everybody I've talked to in the last couple, a little bit, yeah.
I like
Sloan never played. He hasn't.
I like putting it out there, and I just love.
I love the
playing
energy
on
of live
stage and
shows,
loud,
man.
and the audience and all of that. But I love recording too. It's hard to pick. They're both so different. But sometimes
I think the fans, while the records are like life-changing sometimes, and everything you could possibly, all the things that you want a record to be, shows are where I think the real like explosion happens.
Yeah, yeah. It's just fun to see the machine work and show the people how the machine works.
I think it goes back to what you were talking about earlier, right at the beginning. You were like, you picked up guitar with the drummer, and you knew you just wanted to be in a band. You wanted to work on this thing that you like worked together as a group and refined it and made it something that you could put out in public.
Yeah.
And that's what's beautiful. I think that recording is cool, but that's what's beautiful about it all. Thank you so much.
It always feels good to be in the club of people that somebody wants to talk to.
That was my interview with Ben Spraker. I really enjoyed talking to him. He's a super nice guy. Make sure you check out the Arcs and the Shut Ups. The Shut Ups' new album, Proverbs, is coming out, I think, Friday, if that's when streaming things come out. Maybe it's out today. I don't know. It's out this week, though. The release party's this Saturday. If you're in the Athens area, check it out. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe. Tell me what your favorite song that you listened to as a kid was in the comments. Thanks for listening to Overeducated and Underemployed. Next week, we got Kevin Lane from the Arcs. And all I'm going to say is you're going to be hearing a lot more about that band. I promise you. Thanks for listening, y'all.